Tonight on Remote Cabin Radio, we explore a chilling tale from the dark forests and cold waters of Washington's Kalama River, where in 2001, a group of fishermen found themselves face to face with something far more terrifying than they ever imagined. The Kalama River snakes through Cowlitz County, a region where the natural world dominates and history runs deep. Long before European settlers arrived, the Cowlitz tribe called this land home. For centuries, the Cowlitz people, whose name translates to river people, lived in harmony with the rivers and forests that surrounded them. They believed the woods were inhabited by powerful spirits, some kind and others dangerous. One such spirit was the Ts'emekwes, a large, hairy creature said to roam the dense forest. According to legend, it could move through the trees without a sound, always watching but seldom seen. Its presence was a warning to the Cowlitz, a reminder that despite their connection to the land, they were not the masters of it. In the summer of 2001, this ancient warning took on new life. Up until the previous year, a local man owned a bait and tackle shop along the Kalama River. Fishermen frequented his store, and a stretch of the river known as Beginner's Hole had become a favorite spot for night fishing. It was a place where seasoned anglers tested their skill against the elusive steelhead. But that summer, the peaceful setting took a strange and terrifying turn. It started one night when Steve, a regular customer, arrived at the river before dawn with his girlfriend, Tasha. Wanting to catch a few hours of sleep before the morning rush, they reclined in their car with the radio playing softly. But their quiet moment was shattered when something struck the driver's side window with such force that it nearly broke. Steve, startled and shaken, thought it might have been a rock, but the impact felt too powerful. The couple fled the area and spent the night under the lights of the bait shop, too afraid to stay by the river. A week passed before the next incident. Just after closing his shop for the night, the owner was met by frantic knocking on his door. A fisherman, pale and trembling, claimed he had seen something that he couldn't explain, a figure standing on the riverbank, watching him. It was tall, towering above the brush at 7 feet, and though darkness had fallen, the fisherman was certain he had seen Bigfoot. His fear was palpable, and despite the shop owner's attempts to calm him, he refused to leave the safety of the store. The stories were enough to make anyone uneasy, but they hadn't yet convinced the owner that anything supernatural was at play. That is, until a week later, when he decided to head up to Beginner's Hole with his beer distributor Travis for some late-night steelhead fishing. They arrived after 10:30 p.m., and as the owner made his first cast, he noticed the fish in the deeper waters below were unusually active. Intrigued, he signaled to Travis, and the two made their way downstream to investigate. As they positioned themselves at the hole, the sound of a loud splash echoed through the night. The owner assumed Travis had slipped into the river, but when he looked up, he saw Travis standing frozen in place, staring into the water. Panic gripped his voice as he urged the owner to run. The two men scrambled up the bank, and it wasn't until they were safely in the car that Travis explained what he had seen. Something enormous had surfaced in the water, an ape-like figure that rose up, then submerged, before resurfacing again. The splash from its movements had soaked him, leaving no doubt that it was real. The encounter left them both shaken, but as seasoned fishermen, the lure of the river eventually drew them back. Returning to Beginner's Hole, the owner cast his line once again, but this time, something far more unsettling happened. A baseball-sized rock splashed into the water just a few feet from the far bank. He scanned the area, convinced that someone must be playing a prank. But then a sound echoed across the river, a low, deep moan that shifted into a high-pitched scream. It was a sound unlike anything he had ever heard. His heart raced as the noise grew louder, coming from the opposite shore, where something enormous was moving through the trees with an unnatural speed. Within seconds, the creature had ascended the hill and disappeared, leaving behind only an eerie silence that hung heavy in the air. Weeks later, the owner had no choice but to return to the river for a guided driftboat trip. 2 customers had booked a night fishing session, one a young man from Iowa, and the other a local. Reluctantly, he took them to Beginner's Hole, the best spot for a good steelhead catch. As they drifted downstream, he recounted the strange events that had unfolded there. But before he could finish the tale, his fishing pole was nearly yanked from his hands. Assuming it was a large fish, he passed the rod to his customer. But as they watched the line spin, it became clear something else was on the other end. Suddenly, a massive figure stood up in the middle of the river, hooked in the shoulder. It wasn't a fish, it was something far larger. The young man screamed, thinking it was a dead body, but as the moonlight revealed its form, it became clear this was no corpse. The creature swung its arms, attempting to free itself from the line before diving beneath the water and vanishing. The men stared in disbelief, unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. The owner never returned to Beginner's Hole after that. He retired from guiding, and the events of that summer still haunt him. He insists that anyone brave enough to visit Beginner's Hole between 10 at night and 4 in the morning might encounter something that will change their lives forever. As the dawn breaks over the frozen wilderness, this fisherman's encounter with the unknown lingers in the air. Whether it was a guardian of the wild or something far more mysterious, perhaps this creature just wanted to live its life as we do, untouched and unseen. Its silent presence, not fully understood, reminds us that these remote forests hold forces that are both strange and captivating. Until next time, this is Remote Cabin Radio signing off.